All right, so for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the Milwaukee Tools 4822 4255 deburring tool. Now, this is typically something you would see a plumber or a heating and cooling guy like myself using when they are working with copper pipe. For us heating and cooling guys, we typically use them on pretty much all refrigeration systems, whether it's an AC going into your house or a large sort of refrigeration system for a store, warehouse, or whatever. And basically the purpose of this tool is to remove the burr from the inside of the copper pipe, just so that way when you have something like refrigerant running at a high pressure and a high velocity through the copper line set, those burrs that are left after you've cut the pipe with a pipe cutter, it basically, if you don't deburr the pipe, what can happen over time is those burrs can get broke free, and they can either end up clogging your TXV, they can get stuck in a capillary tube, or they can get stuck somewhere in the system and they can cause a restriction. So that's why it's kind of important when you're working with a refrigeration system to deburr any pipe that you have cut, just to reduce that risk of something happening in the future. It's not necessarily going to happen right away. It's something that's going to happen down the road. It might be a couple years, or it could be 10 to 15 years, depending on the system. So this is the deburring pen from Milwaukee. Now, they sold this tool as you can buy one by itself, or I believe you can also buy them in a 2-pack. That is what I did with this. I came in a 2-pack, so you get 2 of these guys, and you could just throw them around in your bag or wherever. It's kind of a small, compact design, which is nice. That's why they call it a deburring pen, so you could almost, you got the nice pocket clip here, so if you wanted to carry it out in your pocket, you got a nice clip, so you always know where it is and you don't really have to worry about losing it. Now, here is your model number, and then they always got the safety glasses there and the Milwaukee tool name on the back, and that's pretty much it for the detail on the tool. Now, the one thing that I've noticed about these newer ones is I do have an older one kicking around somewhere in my van. The blades on the older one you're able to pull those out a lot easier, whereas these newer ones, it's kind of hard to pull the blades out of here, so they almost basically want you to just buy a new one when you pretty much dull this deburring blade out on here and replace it. And I've also noticed that at least at my local Home Depots, they stopped selling the blades for these guys in store. I think you can only get the 3-pack online, if I'm not mistaken. So that is kind of a downside, but I'm sure if you can figure out how to get this little piece out without breaking the tool, I'm sure the ones that the supply house sells will fit in here just fine. So that's pretty much it for the detail on this tool. I'll bring in some copper and kind of show you how this tool works. So I have a couple pieces of soft and one piece of hard. You're going to be able to use it on hard and soft copper, and I believe you can also use these on plastic. I've never had to use them on plastic myself. That's just not something I ever thought about doing, was deburring plastic, but that is something that Milwaukee does advertise, as you can use it both on copper and plastic. So you can see here on the inside of the pipe, there's that leftover burr there on the inside. That is what you don't want in a refrigeration system. So what you can go ahead and do is you get your deburring tool. Now, if you're going to be deburring pipe on a refrigeration system, you're always going to want to make sure, if possible, that you have the piece of pipe that you're deburring facing down, and that is to make sure that none of the shavings from when you're deburring the pipe make their way into the pipe, because that's the whole purpose of deburring the pipe, is to make sure that those shavings don't get broke loose and into the system. So that is something you are going to want to be pretty cautious with, and then you just basically rotate the tool clockwise until you are happy with how clean the inside of the pipe is. I generally will go around a few times and then I'll call it good. And as you saw, that is what you are removing from the inside of the pipe. And then you look at the inside of the pipe, it is nice and clean, and you should be able to move your finger. It's a lot easier to do when you have a larger pipe, but you should be able to put your finger in there and not really catch a soft or a jagged edge. I feel like this one could use a little bit more, so we'll go around a few more times there on that piece of copper. And I feel like that should be good. And like I said, you should be able to put your finger in there and have a nice smooth edge. And that's pretty much what you are going to want with your refrigeration piping, is a nice smooth edge. and not have to worry about that burr breaking off. Here's some hard copper. You can see that burr is quite a bit there on the inside of the pipe. So all you gotta do, like I said, it's a pretty simple tool, pretty self-explanatory, and easy to operate. You just go ahead and put your deburring tool in there, and you just cut that burr out with the tool and make sure it's always down. See, if you don't have it down, that's what can happen is you can get some of those chips or shavings there on the inside, and you want to be careful to make sure you get those out of the pipe, just so that they don't end up somewhere in the system. But that's pretty much it's a deburring tool is pretty much a pretty simple basic tool to use. We have taken a look at a few others here on the channel. We did take a look at the Ghidorah version, which if you want a bigger, a little bit more comfortable handle, is always an option with the removable bits. So that is another option for a pipe deburring tool. And then we took a look at this. This one was branded as the JB, which is a fairly large manufacturer of heating and cooling tools. But I think this is just, there's got to be an OEM out there that makes this. And then JB just picked their colors. They didn't put their name or anything on it and just sells it as theirs. There's plenty of other brands out there that look relatively the same as this tool. So this is another option if you're looking for a deburring tool. And like I said, pretty self-explanatory on how that tool works, or how a deburring tool works, and kind of how it's important for refrigeration systems related to heating and cooling. So with that being said, that's kind of all I have for this review. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to let them down in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.